everyone, and welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you've been here before. My name is Charmaine, and I like to talk about books, unbox subscription boxes, do hauls, and generally just have a good time. So if you're in for any of that, please consider subscribing. And today, we're doing the book review for A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. Woo-woo! Okay, y'all. Okay, so first off, I'm going to start this video by saying, if you did not read the book yet, there is a major spoilers in this book because we are actually doing a review, so we will be discussing the entire book. If you don't want to be here for that, cool. If you want to come back later, cool. I understand. It's amazing though, and I cannot wait to talk about it because it was so good. So this is what it is, and it says here, the case is closed. 5 years ago, schoolgirl Andy Bell was murdered by Sal Singh. The police know he did it. Everyone in town knows that he did it. But having grown up in the same small town that is all consumed by the murderer, Pippa Fitzamboy isn't so sure. Oh, excuse me. Pardon me. When she chooses the case as the topic of her final year project, she starts uncovering secrets that someone in the town desperately wants to stay hidden. And if the real serial killer is out there, how far will they keep Pip from the truth? Okay, this book is so good. I finished this, like I started it and I kind of read some at work, and then I finished it in like one go. So I started it Sunday at, geez, I don't even know. Sunday at something, and maybe like 5, and I stayed up until midnight finishing it. And honestly, if you go over and watch Taylor's video, she finished it, like she started it in the evening and she read it all night long. Like she read it until the morning and then she went to sleep. So yeah, amazing book. I am so impressed with this book. Okay, so also funny story, because we picked this book and Taylor had already read it. She was like, just text me like some stuff, like when you think you know who the killer is or whatever, text me. I texted her who I thought it was on page 66 and I was right. I was in page 66 of the book, y'all, and I was right. Well, partially right, but look at your girl go. Tabs! I'm so excited. Okay, so the questions are, for number 1 is, setting in is an important part of any story. Why do you think Holly Jackson chose a small town for the setting of the book? So, funny story on this as well. Mine came from the UK, and Holly Jackson is actually from the UK. So mine has the UK town in it, and like the UK, like instead of 911, it's 999. And it's like a different way of talking about like her class project and everything like that. Taylor's has Connecticut as the town. Mine's like a little town in, or like hers, the little town is in Connecticut. Mine's a little town in, I don't even know, some part of like Sussex or something like that, I think. Like, I don't even know. I don't even know what town it is. Oh, see, that I should have tabbed off, or at least written down. I didn't do either one of those. Yeah. Oh, here it is. It's Little Clinton. So yeah, it's like a little small town in the UK. But Taylor's wasn't like that. Hers was from Connecticut. So some of the stuff that she talks about and some of the stuff that I talk about might be a little bit different because of the fact that mine was like a UK one. But mine came from Book Depository, which is also in the UK. So I'm figuring maybe that's why. I did read a little bit when I was looking up the questions, and it did say like they had changed it to like Connecticut and like changed like some of the wording and stuff to make it like for American people to read it. So I don't know. But the setting is amazing. I think that she picked the little town because why else would people like want to reopen the case? Why else would people care? Like if it's from a big city, like I live in a fairly big city and I don't know what happens here because I don't have the news. So like I don't watch the news at all. I think it's depressing and I really don't watch a whole lot of it. Some stuff I see on TikTok, but that's about it. But yeah, so I don't really watch the news, so I don't really know what's going on in my city, and I'm kind of like in my own little small town on the outskirts of my city, which is cool, because like I pay attention to what my neighbors are doing and kind of thing. Not really though, because not a big fan. But truth. Yeah, so I think that she picked a small town because people would be more concerned with what had happened, and it would give more of like a back setting for like the actual like crime and everything like that, and it would show like it's a small town so it doesn't have a whole lot of crime in it. I hope that makes sense. Okay. Number 2 is reputation and personal biases play a huge part in the book. How and why would the story be different if Andy and Sal's had different reputations? So Sal is he's smart and he's a really nice guy and people really like him, and nobody, like the town thinks that he did this murder, but he didn't, or like, and Pip doesn't think that he did because she knew him when she was little, Like, she's 17 in the book when she's doing the case, but when the crime happened, she was 12. So she knew Sal because, like, they went to school together, and she knew him, and she just, like, her whole time since she, like, was 12 to 17, she was like, no, it just doesn't make any sense because he's not that kind of person, and he wouldn't have done that. And then, like, he goes off and he, like, unalives himself, like, in the forest, which, like, even that, she's like, that's not, like, a thing that he would have done. It just doesn't, it's out of character for him. It doesn't make any sense. So I think if he had been, like, a bad guy or, like, a bad boy or something like that, it would have made more, like, it just wouldn't have been, like, a plausible story for him to not be the killer and for her to be like, oh, well, yeah, he did it. You know what I mean? Like, she wouldn't have been trying to figure out how, like, how to explain that he didn't do it. He wasn't the one who had done it. And everybody just accepted that he did because of, like, two tiny little circumstantial things that, honestly, come on. Yeah. And I think because Andy had a reputation of being, like, the pretty one, the popular one, but she wasn't, like, the smartest, maybe. But she was trying to get good grades. She was also a super bully, though. Like, she bullied a lot of people, so she also had that going for her. So I think if she had been, like, maybe more mousy, or, like, you know, more not a bully and not, like, kind of like a bad person, and, like, she turns out to be, like, a drug dealer and everything, like, yeah, so if she didn't have, like, all of that bad, like, karma kind of stuff with her, then maybe it would have been different as well. Like, if Sal had been, like, the bad guy and she had been, like the goody-goody or something like that, I don't think that his story would have worked as well. Number 3 is, do you consider Pip relatable? Why or why not? And how about Ravi? Yes, I do. I think she's really, really smart, but I think she's really, really, like, certain that Sal didn't do this. So her whole thing is, like, first, like, she's super smart and she wants to get good grades and everything, but she mainly wants to actually solve this crime because she kind of thinks that everybody was like, oh, they just accepted, like, this one thing, and it doesn't make any sense to her that they accepted that, especially since she knew Sal and she knew that that wasn't his personality. So I think for that, it made it, like, she was really relatable, because I do understand, like, wanting to stand up for your friends or, like, people that you like and say, like, there's no way that they did that. Like, that just doesn't make any sense. That kind of thing. And especially with him unaliving himself and her just being like, no, he wouldn't have done that. That's not the kind of personality that he has. And Ravi, I think, is amazing. So Ravi is Sal's younger brother, and he had to go through his whole life now after this happened with, like, the town being really mean to him and his family. Like, he still lives in the town, and they write, like, criminal, like, the town comes and they, like, abuse them. They don't even grocery shop in the town that they live in because of the fact that this happened, and everybody blames him and his family. Like, he goes grocery shopping, and, like, the girl that he goes to hand, like, the cashier, he goes to hand the money to her, and she's like, no, I'm not touching your money because I don't want to touch anything with you. Like, you know, so that has to be hard to live through. And I mean, like, I don't understand that experience because I've never had that, but that has to be hard to live through with having, like, something that you know isn't right. Because, like, even he says, like, there's no way that my brother unalived himself. Like, that's just not a thing. So he knows that it's not right and it's not, like, what should have happened, but he has no way of trying to solve it because everybody thinks of him as, like, a bad guy for being, like, Sal's brother kind of thing. Like, it's almost like they blame the whole family for what Sal did, which, I mean, I guess would happen. Like, I don't know. I don't really know. Number 4, did you notice any hidden in plain sight clues, and did the false clues lead you astray? So yes, I did. At first, on page 66, like, before page 66, I figured out who one of the killers was, because there's actually 2. Spoiler! But, like, I mean, I said that at the beginning of the video. I'm assuming that you guys are still cool with being here. But yeah, so they did a lot of different clues. Like, I'm telling you, I probably texted Taylor because she was like, text me if you guessed who it is. So I probably texted her, I don't know, 8 times, because I was like, it's this person. No, it's this person. No, it's this person. But I kept going back to the person that I originally thought that it was. So, like, I had said to her, oh, I think it's these 2 people. And then, like, my next text message was like, no, it's Elliot. And then I was like, it's totally Elliot. And the reason why I figured that out is because Pip does an interview with Elliot, and she says, did you see Sal at school that day? And he said, no, I actually called in sick that day. I just dropped the kids off at school, and then I went back home. And I was like, oh, he did it. Right there. Like, obviously. How did people not know this? First time ever that I've ever solved the mystery before the end of the book. Like, I was so proud of myself, yo. Like, I finished the book at like midnight last night, and I almost texted Taylor to be like, oh my gosh, I guessed it! I was amazing! Did you know me? Like, I was so surprised. There is a twist ending, though, that I was like shocked about. Shocked about. So there is a lot of clues that Holly Jackson added in there that are like just like false leads, or like to trip you up and make you think different things. Like, Andy is a drug dealer, and she has like a burner phone, and then she has like a little diary, and they see the little diary, and it has like little notes in there like HH, IV, and they go to this IV hotel, and one of the people that works there is like Harry Harris or something like that. So I was like, oh, he's HH, but it was somebody else. Like, it was something different. So I did quite a few times be like, no, it's this person, it's this person, it's this person, but I did always go back to Elliot. So number 5, there were many potential suspects and motives for murdering Andy. Before you knew the truth, who did you think was the culprit and why? Okay. Everyone. I thought it was her best friends. I was like, oh, she's kind of mean to her best friends because she's like a bully, right? And I was like, oh, her best friends did it, and then they covered it up. And there was like a group of 5 friends that all hung out together, and Sal was a part of that group. And then they like lied about him leaving early. Like, they gave, because he left at like 12:15 from their party, and then he walked home. But they gave out like a false alibi saying that he left at like 10 kind of thing. And then Pip finds out later, because there's like a photo on Facebook, and she like blows it up, and she can see like the time on the phone. And she knows that Sal's taking the photo because she can see his reflection. So like, he's there at the time that he said he was, and his friends like lied about him not having that alibi. So I was like, it's the group of friends, they did it, and then they all covered it up together, kind of like, I know what you did last summer. And then I was like, oh no, it's the drug dealer guy who Andy was getting her drugs from. That has to be him. And then I was like, no, it's Elliot. It was part of it. Anyway. Yeah. And then, so the actual person that it was, I never actually suspected, because it ended up being her sister. So what happened was she was at Elliot's house, and he pushed her, and she hit her head, but she was okay. She went home. And then her sister, like, she got sick with her sister or whatever. They were fighting, and then she ended up like asphyxiating on her own vomit. And then that's how she died. And then her sister like disposed of the body and like made it look like somebody else had done it. So awesome writer. Awesome writer. Honestly, I have number 2 sitting over here. I'm pretty pumped to read that as well. I'm not going to read it right now because I'm kind of hoping that Taylor suggested for book club, because I didn't. But I'm kind of hoping that she does. And yes, I'm filming this before I know what the suggestions are, because I film when I have time. So yeah. Number 6. Did Holly Jackson amp up the suspense? Did you find yourself anxious to learn what happened? So like I said, I had read like a little bit of it at work. Like, I would go like maybe that far. Like, this is chapter 6 kind of thing, right? And I was doing that on my lunches, and I was like, oh, this is pretty good so far. And then I started reading it at like 5 o'clock at night, and I was like, I gotta read it all. And I was like, oh, just one more page, because I was doing this. You know? So then I ate one of my pixie sticks, and I was like, okay, sugar energy, let's go. And then I read the whole thing. It was so good, you guys. Oh my gosh. I hope you read it. Or read it, you know? I mean, hopefully you're not like getting all the spoilers and you're like, you pretty much read it for me, so now I don't have to, because it's so good. Like, it's so good. It was amazing. Honestly, one of the fastest books that I've finished quite recently, because normally it takes me a couple of weeks to read them. I will tell you guys that I am filming this like September 18th. It's September 18th today. So I'm filming this September 18th. I think that we just announced the book last week. So yeah, I found out earlier than that, obviously, because of when the thing closes, because I have to film in advance. But yeah, so it took me about a week to read this whole thing. And most of that was in like that 6-hour window where I was reading it very quickly. It was so good. So good. Okay, number 7 is a good ending is essential in any mystery or crime thriller. It should ease up on tension, answer questions, and tidy up loose ends. Does the ending accomplish these goals? Ease up on tension? Yes-ish. So, like in the very last chapter, not like the very last chapter, but the last chapter before, like the epilogue, I think they call it, is Andy goes to talk to Becca because she realizes that Becca is the one who actually has something to do with her sister's murder. And Becca and Andy were sisters, just so you know. So she goes to talk to Becca, and Becca like poisons her, and she pukes, she runs away, she goes to the forest, and like Becca like starts to strangle her, and then people come and find her, so thankfully she's okay. So no, it did not ease up on the tension, because wow. Like the last, like, the epilogue was good because it talked about like the report, and like she did like her class presentation on her report and everything like that. Because then the cops like talk to her, and they figure out that Andy was not killed by Elliot, or not, like, because for a while I was like, oh, Andy's alive. He's just like hiding her. And he was hiding a girl, but it wasn't Andy. It was just a girl who looked like Andy. And he had like such guilt over what he had done that he didn't realize that it wasn't her. And the girl that he was hiding had been like a drug addict and had developmental issues. So she like just went along with being Andy because she didn't realize that she wasn't, because she had been addicted to drugs, and then she had these developmental issues and she was trying to make Elliot happy, so she kept saying that she was Andy. So that's really unfortunate, because like that part actually really got to me a lot. And also there's an issue with a dog. It's her dog Barney. I'm not going to talk about that. If you read the book, you understand, and it made me cry. It answers the questions. Yes, I did find out why like this happened to Andy, and it answered that questions. It also answered the questions of like why Elliot did that to Sal, because technically he like unalived Sal, and it wasn't unaliving himself, which was also good to know, but like very sad, because like Sal I think would have been like a good person and done like a lot with his life. I get really emotionally attached to the books. I'm just realizing that right now. Yeah, I'm super like emotionally attached to this book, and I'm like, Sal would have been such an amazing person. But like, it's true, he would have been. He's not real, he's fictional, but he would have been an amazing person either way. And then to tidy up the loose ends, yes, 100%. Yeah, I think she did great. Honestly, I cannot wait to read more of her books. I do have quite a few of her books, so I'm pretty excited to read them. And then number 8 is overall, what did you think of the book? I think it was amazing. It was so good. Honestly, 6 hours of reading it, you guys. 6 hours essentially of reading it. And I was like, I can't put it down. I had a little glass of wine with me. I had a little pixie sticks. I was like, this is amazing. Wine, pixie stick, wine, pixie stick. They're not a good combination together, just so you know, because sweet and like bitter don't. But yeah, it was amazing. It was so good. Please tell me what you think. Answer the questions down in the comments and let me know what you think. I cannot wait to go over and watch Taylor's video, because I am so pumped with how good this book was. And she had read it already, so she really wanted to talk to somebody about it. Like, I love book club. This is amazing. Okay, let me know what you guys think. I have to watch these videos back before I put them out, because sometimes I'm worried that I'm going to swear because I'm so excited that I just like forget what I'm saying. So yeah, please like this video. Make sure that you go over and watch Taylor's video. I cannot wait to see what she says. Honestly, I'm so excited. I can't wait to see what she says. This was such a good book. Thank you guys so much for spending a couple of minutes of your day with me today. I really, really appreciate that. And I really, really appreciate you. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye!